meet results in Bayelsa governorship election. A Greek expert advises Rivers State government to conduct thorough assessments on Songhai farm before reviving it. TUC says it is working to ensure implementation of 35,000 naira wage award in Rivers State. On the foreign scene, airlines cancel delay flights to Israel. I am Constance Mega.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
The Rivers State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Abuja has dismissed the petition of the APC candidate for Kana Federal Constituency, Eric Mwibani, against Dumnameneb Deko of the PDP. Also dismissed were two other petitions filed against Mr. Deko by Naku Paul of the Accord Party and Friday Nke of the SDP. While reacting to this, APC candidate for Kana Federal Constituency, Eric Mwibani, tells correspondent Martha Okerenkem that he is yet to get the true copies of the judgment. He, however, spoke on why his petition was dismissed.
The details will be contained in the judgment. We'll see them in detail. One of what they talked about is that the withdrawal of the APC from the petition makes Eric Mwibani an independent candidate. We are also aware that the law allows either the candidate or the party to approach the tribunal. And in our own case, I'm the first petitioner in that matter. The APC is the second petitioner. So the withdrawal of the second petitioner does not imply the withdrawal of the first petition. So my petition still stands.
Well, the SDP candidate for Kana Federal Constituency, Friday Nke, also spoke to our correspondent who said he said the electorates will be consulted on what steps to take next.
In our case, we didn't say there were no elections in Kana Federal Constituency. We only said there was irregularities in some walls and some units of the constituency. And those were the areas we tendered evidence and brought in witnesses. We are not worried because they have done their job, but we are happy that we are able to sustain our petition. You see, when you have a petition and there was objection to certain sections of the petition and the tribunal sustained those sections of the petition or the paragraphs, it means the petition has merit. And so coming back to rule against the same petition that has merit is something to think about.
The Rivers State Coordinator of Transmission Monitoring Group, Nathaniel Akbos, says the plan by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to manually transmit results of the 11th November Bayelsa governorship election will obstruct the electoral process. Recall that the Bayelsa State INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Obo Efanga, said last Wednesday that the commission plans to manually transmit results in the coming elections. Mr. Akbos spoke to correspondent Suebi Oruwari on this.
It is unfortunate that the resident electoral commissioner for Bayelsa State would dare to say that results in the forthcoming elections in Bayelsa State will be transmitted manually. This statement by the resident electoral commissioner is only finding its roots in the Court of Appeal judgment recently delivered by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. This new position of INEC will do nothing more than preparing the graveside of the 2022 Electoral Act.
But Mr. Akbos said the confidence of Nigerians on electoral processes will be reduced if INEC transmits results manually.
We are all working towards the dark days of electoral malpractice, ballot stuffing, snatching, and violence, which characterize our electoral processes over time and in history. As observers, we call on the chairman of INEC to redirect his commissioners so as to build confidence in the electoral process. The effect of the 2022 Electoral Act has so far not been seen, as all its new innovations are being jettisoned by the electoral umpire.
On his part, a former INEC resident electoral commissioner, Barito Pagi, called on INEC to explain to Nigerians why it plans to transmit election results manually in the November 11th Bayelsa governorship election.
By the announcement they've gone back fully to manual everything. So what was it that informed that earlier decision, and what is it that has led them to turn away from that completely after the huge expenditure, time wasted in the National Assembly to amend the law? Our expectation was that with the improvement in the electoral process, IOF and the electronic transmission of results, that it should reduce the human factor we had with the manual process of election that brought about that improvement in the law during their own guidelines.
In another development, a spokesperson for a faction of the APC in Rivers State, Enyinda Chike, says former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike's alliance with President Bola Tinubu has not weakened the party. His comment comes after several Rivers APC leaders from the two factions in the state visited the party's national chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, in Abuja in a bid to rebuild the party after the general elections. Mr. Chike, in an interview with our correspondent, spoke on the validity of the visit by his faction.
That his appointment has nothing to do with APC's Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have access to the president. We have access to the national chairman. And if we pass through the minister, which constitution have we violated to reward service? The president of Nigeria rewarded service. And you can imagine the theory that a president will win in a state from a party A, and that party A did not win one single seat.
Mr. Chike, however, said that those claiming there is a faction in APC in the state are party members who are yet to align with the presidency of President Tinubu.
We are in post-election politics. APC have nothing to showcase in Rivers State. There are allegiance of those who felt they will not be obedient to the national, and there are those school of thought who said we must align to reap what we have in the national. So that is what those who are not in the mainstream are seeing as there is a faction. APC doesn't have a faction as people are trying to claim. A visit to the national chairman from the state council, he went on his capacity.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has joined in criticizing the report of the European Union Election Observation Mission to the 2023 general election in Nigeria. The minister, who spoke when he hosted the EU ambassador to Nigeria, Samuela Isopi, in Abuja, described the report as an inaccurate reflection of what's transpired, especially as it concerns Rivers State. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of 5 new aides to serve in the office of the president under the Media and Publicity Directorate. A statement by his spokesperson, Ajuringelali, said Fela Durotoye has been appointed as SSA on National Values and Social Justice, Frederick Nwabufo as SSA on Public Engagement, and Linda Nwabuwa Akibe as SSA on Strategic Communications. Others are Aliyu Audu, SSA on Public Affairs, and Francis Ada Abba, Personal Assistant to the President on Special Duties. Away from that, an agricultural expert, Olufemi Adeshokwe, has advised the Rivers State government to conduct a thorough assessment of the Songhai farm before proceeding with its revival. Professor Adeshokwe, a lecturer at the Department of Agricultural Extension, University of Port Harcourt, also stressed the importance of involving key stakeholders in the evaluation to understand the reasons for its initial failure. Well, he spoke to correspondent Emeka Otuka and says without a clear understanding of the past issues, revamping the farm may not yield the desired outcomes.
The first thing is to do a comprehensive needs assessment. The comprehensive needs assessment will involve all the stakeholders, as many as can be identified. Stakeholders will involve professionals like us. Stakeholders will also involve the media. The needs assessment is essential. First, we need to understand this project failed. So we need to put everybody on speed. Why did it fail? And what can be done? It was a good project. At least I was there several times.
Professor Adeshokwe also urged the government to consider establishing similar agricultural hubs in strategically located local government areas.
For us to sustain it, for it to be long-lasting, we need to replicate the same project in other areas for it to sustain. There are specific areas that have comparative advantage. There will be enough food, then revenue for the state. So as long as there's sensitization, as long as stakeholders are involved, as long as there's adequate capacity building, and then awareness that these projects are viable, I think it's an action that needs to be carried out. I want to align with the governor and strongly believe that that project will come back to life.
Meanwhile, some residents of Port Harcourt also said reviving the Songhai farm will ensure a boost in agriculture as well as address unemployment.
It's a very welcome development. The governor have remembered that farm. They have already done that farm for a year, almost 8 years. That one now will make like some of our youth who don't have work, they may have work there. If the governor can do that for us, it's very nice. Many people will have employment there.
If they bring this their local production, it will help. The hardship will feel reduced for people.
Yes, we need that way so that it will help us. It's the way we go market. Things they very expensive. So as we buy, that's what we sell.
It's a good idea. First, a laudable idea. Our main families too will spring up again. That now cannot reduce the inflation rate because goods and services all hinge on this first subsidy of a thing. But what we do is that those who will be there will be able to provide for their family.
Well, recall that Governor Siminalayi Fubara last week during a visit to the Songhai farm promised to revive it. The Songhai farm is one of the integrated farms owned by the states in Thai local government area. Still to come, court sentences to death policeman who killed Lagos lawyer Bolanle. Stay tuned.
With gratitude and total
with us. And now to the rest of the news. Lagos State High Court has sentenced suspended police officer Drambi Vandi to death by hanging for shooting to death a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Rahim. Justice Ibironke Harrison today found ASP Vandi guilty of murder. Recall that ASP Vandi was arraigned on 16th January by the Lagos State government for killing the pregnant lawyer at the Ajah Underbridge checkpoint on 25th December 2022. The Rivers State Coordinator, National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW, Tricycle Section, Ken Obochi Elendo, says the union will comply fully with the directives of the state government on the ban of tricycles, popularly called keke napep, on major roads. Mr. Obochi Elendo, in an interview with our correspondent, said the state government did not ban keke napep operations, but only limited them to the streets.
The union is working in hand with the government, and they are talking about the major road. The government are not banning keke. They should go out from the major road. Let me give you an example. Ikwere Road is not meant for tricycle, so there's no way tricycle will apply there. That is what they mean. We have where government has said keke should run. The union has said obey the government order, and we, the union, is supporting government to say don't go here, don't go here. This is what is meant for us.
Mr. Obochi Elendu also urged tricycle riders to avoid reckless driving.
If a man is talking about money and you are not there to make money, so what happened to your family? We're talking about safety. If one rider dies today, one passenger dies, and maybe the person is the breadwinner of the family, so what happened to the children and the wife? So government is in the right track. It is only person that is alive is money. Union is in line with the government, making sure that...
The state's tricycle coordinator also said they will carry out disciplinary actions on any operator who takes laws into their hands.
We have laws that we operate on. Union has law. If you fail the law, the union will discipline you with the help of government. We're talking about unit, branch, and state. So every unit has law that is there in our constitution. We can impound the akeke if you disobey the law for 1 month, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, as the case may be. And you pay a penalty. And those ones that are stubborn, that will know that they are very powerful, will hand them over to the police.
In business, the Trade Union Congress, TUC, in Rivers State says it is working to ensure that the 35,000 naira wage award for workers, as promised by the federal government, is implemented in the state. State TUC chairman Ikechukwu Onyefuru said this in an interview with our correspondent, where he said organized labor in the state has written to the state government through the head of service on this.
We have informally engaged the Rivers State government through the head of service to inform him that the organized labor in Rivers State will be coming to deliver our demands with respect to the wage award as directed by the federal government. So in the course of this week, we will be submitting our demands to the state government.
Well, Mr. Onyefuru also asked workers in the state to be hopeful, saying their demands will be met by the Rivers State government.
We want to reassure the workers in Rivers State to be, resilient, like be hopeful. We know that the situation in the country, the economic situation in the country is fighting hard on the workers and Nigerians at large. So we ask that we all prepare a little as we hope that the government will respond as they have been responding to some other. Let our members persevere and be hopeful.
In entertainment, Nigerian singer Oxlade says he dropped out of Lagos State University in his final year because cultists were trying to make him join their gang. In sports, Britain's Dan Evans suffered a defeat by world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz in a closely fought third-round tie at the Shanghai Masters.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
Major airlines around the world have cancelled flights to Israel, with some of them warning of travel disruptions as the security situation worsens. Virgin Atlantic warned of cancellations and delays to Tel Aviv, and British Airways has altered its schedule. Other U.S. carriers have suspended services. Palestinian militants, Hamas, say they targeted Israel's Ben Gurion airport with missiles today. About 700 people have been killed in Israel since Hamas launched its attack on Saturday, and about 500 others have died in Gaza after Israel retaliated with airstrikes. Well, that's the news, but before we go, let's take a look at the highlights of the major stories. On the news this evening, you heard that the tribunal has dismissed the APC, SDP and Accord party petitions against the PDP candidates of Kanagokana Federal Constituency in Rivers State, Dumnamene Deko. Stakeholders have criticized INEC after it said it will manually transmit election results in the coming governorship election in Bayelsa State. An agric expert wants the Rivers State government to conduct a thorough assessment on Songhai Farm before reviving it. The TUC says it is working to ensure the implementation of the 35,000 naira wage award in Rivers State, and the Lagos State High Court has sentenced to death by hanging the policeman who killed a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Rahim. On the foreign scene, you heard that airlines have cancelled and delayed flights to Israel. The news was edited by Martha Okerenkem. Cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this evening. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. Remember, peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. My name is Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.